Howdy y'all, welcome back to Luke's Homebrew. Today we are going over how to convert spells from previous editions to 5th edition specifically. Obviously, you could probably apply the same core principles if you're converting from like 2nd edition to 3rd edition or 2nd edition to 5th, whatever it is, but 5th is the most current and what I mostly use, so if I wanted to do it, this is how I would do it. Now, there's going to be a few jump cuts as I just don't want to have you watch me write it all out, so excuse those, and I'm going to try and give you the biggest tips and tricks that I can give you when when it even just comes to homebrewing, whether it comes to converting older spells into newer spells, whatever it is. I hope these tips and tricks are useful, so stick around. So firstly, we have Lesser Force Field. It's a 3.5 spell. It is Abjuration. I literally just copy and pasted this spell from the D&D wiki for 3.5, and then it really, look at it. It's a 3rd level spell, and you can tell by it saying Bard 3, Cleric 3, Druid 3, etc. Components are same, so it's verbal somatic. Casting time is 1 standard action, that's 1 action, and then its range is, and obviously I'm not very proficient in 3.5, I'm just trying to read this with the best context that I have. I actually haven't even played a 3.5 campaign, but by being a dungeon master, messing around with homebrewing, it's pretty easy to kind of tell. So, like, look at the range, for example. It's close. Well, that's not very descriptive. Oh, it's 25 feet plus 5 feet per every 2 levels that you cast this up. So, for example, it'd be 25 feet, but at 3rd level. But then if you cast at 5th level, then it would be 30 feet. Then if you'd cast at 7th level, it would be 35 and 40 at 9th. Probably wouldn't want to upcast it that high, but its effect is a projective sphere centered on a creature. That's usually part of the flavor text down here, but in 5th edition, but whatever. Its duration is 1 round per 2 levels that you cast it, yet again. So it's 1 round if you cast it at 3rd level, 2 rounds if you cast it at 5th level, and so on. Saving throw, will, that would be wisdom save. And then spell resistance, yes, harmless. I don't really know exactly what that means. I know what spell resistance in 5th edition is, but otherwise, let's read the spell as it's written in 3.5. It's a temporary boost defenses of a creature by encasing them in a force field. You cast spell upon a creature or upon yourself, and immediately they are encapsulated in a translucent sphere of energy, provides them the protection for a limited time. Solids, liquids, and gases such as air, water, and more can pass through the sphere, but anything that would cause damage to the subject inside of it meets magical resistance. Subject gains +1 deflection bonus to AC per caster level. Wow. 3.5 was very different. Damage reduction equal to 1. I don't know what that means, but okay. And then spell resistance is equal to 10 plus your caster level. I don't know what spell resistance is either. So we are actually going to go ahead and rewrite this and then kind of explain, once it's all rewritten, what changes I would make or how I would reword things to fit the 5th edition model. So I'll catch you in a sec. Alright, so we just rewrote the Lesser Force Field spell. As a reminder, this is the 3.5 version. It's very messy in comparison, but here's what we rewrote Lesser Force Field as. So we maintain the 3rd level spell and the school, of course, it's Abjuration. The time to cast is 1 action. Your range is now touch instead of close, 25 feet plus 5 feet per 2 levels. I'll get into that in just a bit. But using the 5th edition terminology and mechanics, it was more fitting to use the phrase or word touch rather than saying you can target someone, because if you can tell right here, it says you cast this on a creature or upon yourself. So pretty much I said you can touch a creature and then they have the radius, as you'll see right here, or you can touch yourself and you'll have the radius. But that range isn't necessarily like the range to cast. So like you could cast it on a creature that's 25 feet away, +5 per 2 levels you cast it. That's how I understood it. If you disagree, go ahead and leave it in the comments below. But I said the range is touch, components are the same, verbal, somatic, and then the duration is 1 round per every 2 levels that you cast this at. You could also say right here at higher levels every other level that you cast this at, you gain above 3rd level, you gain an additional round of duration. It's up to you. I kind of like this terminology, to be honest, but I can see how it can be confusing. Classes, I just rewrote it. It was Bard, Cleric, Druid, Sorcerer, and Wizard. And then what I proceeded to do was, like I said with the range, I just wrote the range down in here within the flavor text. So you cast the spell upon a creature or upon yourself. Immediately they are encapsulated by a translucent sphere with a radius of 25 feet plus 5 feet per 2 levels of energy of energy that provides them with protection for a limited time. Solids, liquids, and gases such as air, water, or more can pass through the sphere, but anything that would cause damage to the subject inside meets magical resistance, as per normal flavor text. And then this is what I added in. The target of the spell gains a bonus to armor class equal to the level at which you cast the spell, and resistance to bludgeoning, piercing, and slashing. Additionally, the target gains advantage on saving throws against spells and other magical effects for the duration. So I rewrote these 3 little things within the 5th edition context and mechanics. So the bonus to AC, obviously equal to your caster level. That would be insane, getting +10 to AC as a 3rd level spell. So instead what I did was I wrote it as whatever level you cast it at, that way it scales up. So that way if you cast this at 5th level, you can proceed to get +5 to armor class. But it's only going to last for 2 rounds. So it's a give and take. Additionally, you gain resistance to bludgeoning, piercing, slashing. I'm pretty sure that's what they meant by damage reduction, equal to 1 plus whatever that means. I just gave resistance. I think that's fair. At 5th level, you're getting a little bit of that by then, and so on and so forth. And then additionally, you gain advantage on saving throws against spells and magical effects for the duration. That's just magical resistance factored into the 5th edition guide. That's it. Honestly, reading this, I probably could understand if you wanted to make it a 4th level spell rather than a 3rd level spell, but I think the factor that really balances it is that it only lasts 1 to 2 to maybe 3 rounds, because it's definitely not going to last for 4 rounds, because obviously you're not going to be wasting your 9th level spell slot on this. So that's just my opinion on it. I don't know why the radius is there, to be honest, because unless it helps other creatures around you, but 3.5 was weird. I like 5th edition better. But that is Lesser Force Field. I figured I would give you a second example, as in Eldritch Fog. That way, if this spell was a little too niche and you wanted a second example, go ahead. Otherwise, if this was helpful enough, please leave a like down below. I appreciate it. But let's go ahead and break this apart and really delve into what makes this a 5th level spell. And let's remake it for 5th edition. So, spell's name is Eldritch Fog. It's a 3.5. Another abjuration spell. I'm a big fan of abjuration, if you haven't noticed. Its level is 5th, like we just said. Its components are verbal, somatic, and material. I don't know what DF means, but I don't know. Casting time is 1 action. Its range is the same as the spell up there. Close, 25 feet plus 5 feet per 2 levels. Its effect is fog spreads 20-foot radius, 20 feet high. We'll probably integrate that into the actual bulk text. Duration is 1 minute per level. I don't know what the D stands for. Maybe that's just duration. I don't know. But I like that the duration is really limited by what spell slot you cast it at. And I think that should be something that should be integrated into D&D to be, or 5th edition. The saving throw is wisdom again. Although I don't even know why this needed a saving throw. Whatever. I don't think, actually this one does. And then spell resistance, no. I don't know what spell resistance meant in 3.5, so we'll just ignore that. So here's the text. Upon casting this spell, all creatures and objects caught in the area have spell resistance must make a will or wisdom save against this spell. So against your spell save DC. Creatures and objects who pass take a -2 penalty to their spell resistance, if any, while creatures who fail theirs take a -5 penalty. Each round, a creature or object starts their turn in the fog, or upon entering the fog, a creature must make this save. Creature that fails need not make any more saves. Creatures and objects in the fog take this penalty as long as they are in the fog. Upon leaving the fog, creatures and objects that never failed their save against the spell are immediately relieved of its penalties, while those that failed their save must remain in effect for 1d6 rounds after leaving. And then here's your material component, a severed body part, blood drawn from a living spellcaster. A caster may deal 1 point of hit point damage to damage themselves to provide this component. That's pretty neat. So pretty much this is a spell to give a giant fuck you to any other spellcaster that you're fighting. So I think if we were to convert this to 5th edition, it should probably affect their spell save DC or their saving throws. So let's go ahead and take a crack at it, and I'll catch you when I'm done tinkering. Alright, so we just remade Eldritch Fog for the 5th edition manual, whatever you want to call it. So, same name, it's still 5th level, Abjuration, its time is 1 action. Let's write a 1 in there. Its range is 60 feet, components are verbal, somatic, and then I just added that material component up here with the rest of the materials. And then its duration is concentration up to 10 minutes. And then you can write in that it's cleric, bard, sorcerer, wizard. So we could write that in right here. So classes, bard, cleric, sorcerer, wizard. Yeah. Sorcerer, wizard. Alright, so next is, upon casting this spell, all creatures and objects within a 30-foot radius must make a wisdom saving throw against your spell save DC. Any creature that failed gains a -5 penalty to saving throws against spells while within the fog. Upon leaving the fog, this effect persists for the next 1d6 rounds. On a success, that creature instead gains a -2 penalty to saving throws against spells while in the fog. Each round thereafter, they must repeat saving throw until they leave the fog. Any creature that leaves the fog without a failure immediately loses any negative effects due to the spell. So, really, what I'm trying to emphasize is it's very possible to just convert any spell or just make spells for 5th edition. It's not very hard. I really recommend just following the basic template, download an app or look online. There's plenty of different websites and apps that really help line it all out for you. But the biggest thing is knowing how long it takes to cast, its range, what its components are going to be, and what's going to be thematic. Duration, for this I put it concentration for 10 minutes rather than having the duration be 1 minute per spell level, just because obviously if you cast this at 5th level, that's going to be lasting for 5 minutes, no way of possibly turning it off. And I figured this spell would be a very unique spell for a wizard to cast if there's a few other spellcasters in the party. Maybe you cast this and then proceed to have the bard over there cast Suggestion or Charm Person, and you two can really synergize. That's just my opinion. Or you can keep this up and hurl fireballs and give people huge disadvantages on those saving throws against that spell. But otherwise, it's pretty simple and bare bones. You just get a negative bonus while you're within the fog, and if you failed, then that bonus persists for a little bit. I like the idea of spell effects persisting for a while. I think that's something that I think should pop up here and there in 5th edition. And it's fun exploring this because you normally don't get to see these spells really at all unless you're playing 3.5 or have played 3.5. Otherwise, a new player that's new to 5th edition will never see a spell like Eldritch Fog or Lesser Force Field because they just don't exist. So this is a huge opportunity for homebrewing DMs and stuff to really introduce new spells into the game, to really excite that party wizard or bard, whatever it is. But overall, those are like my key points. Just worry about trying to balance the emphasis of the original spell, and then just look at comparable spells. So I could have wrote in here, instead of the -5 penalty to saving throws, I could have said disadvantage. But I don't know, I think it's a little bit more flavorful to keep it and make it feel like it's from an older edition while not blatantly being too overpowered like Lesser Force Field was, with a +1 bonus to AC per caster level. Could you imagine being 20th level and casting that? Plus 20 to AC? That'd be whack as hell. So I highly recommend just reading through the spell, looking at spells that are already in 5th edition, see how they relate to the spell that you're trying to augment into 5th edition, and just slowly go from there. If you feel pretty confident about it, show it to a friend, show it to one of your players, show it to your whole group and be like, hey guys, how do you feel about this? Does this look balanced to you guys? Or if you're feeling brave, throw it up on Reddit and then get destroyed. But otherwise, that is all I've got for you. Should be a pretty quick video. Thank you very much for watching. I really appreciate it. If you can, please leave a like down below. It really helps grow the channel. Otherwise, have a good one. I'll catch you next time. Bye.